Hello everybody, welcome to Channel Lux. In today's video, we'll look at the incredible daily routine of the current US President Joe Biden. We'll discuss his morning routines, work ethic, and the luxuries he lives in. Being the President of the USA is a big deal, an honor, and indeed not a walk in the park. As it is said, with great power comes great responsibility. Leading one of the world's major countries is challenging and requires a visionary outlook, from resolving domestic issues to giving output on various foreign affairs. As the President of America, we can only imagine how hectic and tiring it all must be, and also, being the target of critics is not easy. The only person who has taken this responsibility is Joe Biden, the current President of the USA, who resides in the White House. The President's official residence is one of the most opulent and heavily secured buildings in Washington, D.C., as the President lives in continual danger due to his position of authority. His residence has its zip code, which makes it much easier to send parcels and post. Any package intended for the President must pass through a rigorous security check before being given to him. Infrared sensors are used to determine whether the packet is secure before it is given to the President. However, security is extremely strict because it is the President's residence. Since there are so many security personnel and dogs at the White House for safety, breaking in is practically impossible. The White House even has an anti-missile system accompanied by the world's top-notch defense system, all meant to reduce the risk of harm to the President. Being President is a challenging task to deal with tight security around and inside the residence, which leaves no room for privacy for the President. The White House is the President's home, but there are some disadvantages. President Biden began his career in politics when he was young and has remained active in it for most of his adult life. He served as former US President Barack Obama's advisor. He now spends most of his time in the White House and the Oval Office as the President of the United States. Today, we'll get a look at his daily routine and extravagant lifestyle. Biden has quite a taste for antique American cars and has an incredible luxury vintage car collection in his garage. His collections include a stunning Studebaker Champion from 1951, one of its kind and pure bliss to drive. The Studebaker is followed by the Plymouth Cranbrook convertible, which is pretty rare to get these days because of its price and exclusivity. But of course, we know getting a four-wheeler is undoubtedly not a problem for the world's most famous man. Besides cars, the President also showcases his luxury through the clothes despite being 78. Biden is well-dressed and has an on-point fashion sense, as the President has been seen rocking a Ralph Lauren suit on multiple occasions. As President, Biden always looks classy and elegant in his luxurious outfits. Moreover, our current President, Joe Biden, also fancies expensive watches. The President is often seen wearing a Rolex Datejust. This reflects his elegance as a powerful man and his love for luxury items. The 78-year-old American president works out every day at 8 a.m. because he needs to be in good physical and mental shape. After all, a healthy body supports a healthy mind. The president must have access to one of the top fitness trainers in the world. After working on his biceps, he turns on the morning shows on CNN or MSNBC. While inside the White House residence, he receives a hard copy of The Bulletin, a collection of the morning news clips. It contains headlines from the day's front page stories, local and national news, TV transcripts, editorials, and more. In recognition of Biden's affinity for his hometown, his press assistants frequently give stories from Delaware and Pennsylvania extra attention and launch into a very disciplined and somewhat unexpected routine for a guy reaching his 80s. As comfy as it sounds, Biden doesn't follow a strict 5 a.m. morning routine. His morning hours are calm compared to people in business and many famous people. Regular working hours are spent attending meetings and calls as he is responsible for the whole country. So, his routine feels reasonably practical for someone like him. Being the president of one of the world's most powerful nations comes with many luxurious perks. Biden is served the world's finest cuisines, which vary from Indian to American and Italian. You cannot even imagine. However, his typical breakfast is like any other ordinary person who likes to stay fit and healthy: a protein shake after his morning coffee with the First Lady. Shortly after 9 in the morning, he arrives in his lavish, furnished, and historically significant Oval Office to start his day with phone calls, meetings, and a daily security briefing with Vice President Kamala Harris. A highly trained staff is on call around the clock to take care of Biden's food, suits, schedules, speeches, travel, and hobbies. He usually discusses the problematic issues happening in the country and the events around the world, and how these events affect the USA. Also, in his day, he makes sure to get in touch with few American allies and essential diplomats in the morning. Despite his packed morning schedule, Mr. Biden frequently makes 1 or 2 brief public appearances daily and takes his 2 German Shepherd dogs for daily walks through the White House grounds. Most of the time, these meetings don't have a set agenda. Instead, Biden brings up previously discussed topics for his consideration. He enjoys eating his favorite chocolate chip cookies throughout the day and sipping orange Gatorade. He has piled individually wrapped chocolate chip cookies and saltwater taffy from Dole's, a beachfront candy shop in Rehoboth Beach, Delaware, where he owns a holiday home on the exterior of the Oval Office. Biden gets the president's daily brief with Vice President Harris, a top security intelligence report on world hotspots. He also meets with Secretary of State Antony Blinken or Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin once every week. And he frequently communicates with Joint Chiefs of Staff Chairman General Mark A. Milley. Then, Biden gathers his advisors, which includes Klain, Mike Donnellan, Anita Doon, Steve Ricchetti, Bruce Reed, and Cedric L. Richmond. In the afternoon, a bowl of soup or salad with a grilled chicken usually makes up President Biden's light lunch, which he usually washes down with his preferred beverage, a Gatorade or Coke Zero. However, he is emphatic that there should always be some chocolate chip vanilla ice cream from Haagen-Dazs, at least 6 eggs, and certain cereal with sliced bread and cheese with a few tomatoes and apples. He eats lunch with Kamala Harris once weekly, as he did when he served as Barack Obama's vice president. If you have to leave your house for a meeting or an emergency and can't stop for a regular lunch because you're on the go, like Biden frequently does, it's always a good idea to have one. He also carries a protein bar and a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, which is his favorite snack of all time. He typically meets with his key advisors multiple times through the day. He might also spend some time conversing with world leaders and American allies. After dealing with domestic issues and foreign affairs, Biden returns to the White House at 7 p.m. and spends time with his family and significant others. He likes to have pasta with red sauce for dinner. After dinner and spending time with his family, the president returns to work, checks his emails from American citizens, makes a few calls for work, and participates in online meetings with his advisors. The president keeps himself informed about the latest evening news and events after discussion and essential calls. The president ends his day by calling his son Hunter, who has battled addiction, every night just before bed. Mr. Biden texts him if he doesn't respond to the call. While being the president, he also fulfills his duties as a father and keeps a check on his kids. Finally, he reviews his plans for the following day, goes to bed, and then repeats the process unless he has a schedule due to the numerous domestic and international trips he must conduct. Many critics compare Biden's routine with that of the former U.S. President Donald Trump and claim that Biden lacks Trump's stamina. In contrast, many believe that the current U.S. president is more focused, listens to the people, and saves energy by having more meaningful conversations with his advisors rather than tweeting early in the morning. Regardless of his day, he has so many responsibilities to fulfill as president. Living in the White House has its privileges and perks, but with such significant burden on the shoulders, every day is more or less crazy day in the White House. That is all about Joe Biden's day as the current president. We hope you enjoyed today's episode and got an insight into the president's life. For more such content, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell button for notifications, and let us know in the comments whose routine you want to watch next.